Hello, hello, my friends. It is me. I am a certified Bob Ross instructor, and I hope you'll follow along with this crazy little thing we got going on today. By now, if you're a fan of Bob, you already know about Bob's Unfinished Season 32, and that Nic Hankins, the new host of The Joy of Painting, has taken over the reins and is showing us, or has showed us, the last paintings Bob did for production of Season 32, but unfortunately never got recorded. So here we are 30-some years later. Nic has studied those paintings, and he came up with a few of his own and came out with the Unfinished Season 32 this past year. Well, this is one of them, called Galaxy Grandeur. And I'm just coming up here and probably putting too much on here for sure. The liquid clear, very, very small amount across the canvas and just grinding it in. And I thought here, and again, in a little celebration of Bob, I'm using a brush from right back in that era. Look at this thing. This thing's seen some action. So this is a brush that's at least 30 years old. Maybe less. Maybe this is one of the... I guess it'd still be 30-some years old. So, still got plenty of life left in it. Sometimes when my brushes get old and worn, because I paint a lot, I'll save these brushes and just use them just for spreading liquid clear and the liquid white when they get a little too puffy and worn out. They still have life left. It's sort of a second life. There we go. Like I said, too much. So, you just take a paper towel and you give it a quick once over, an overlapping once over. There we go. Got a little gesso in the shape of my hand there. That'll happen. So, it is the middle of the night. I woke up and couldn't get back to sleep, and I had put some paint out and went to bed. So, I figured while I'm up, we might as well paint. So you get to see a little bit of what I do here when I'm prepping my canvas. You know, we just sort of mash those paints down a little bit. It helps lock them to the palette and allows us to pick up the right amount of paint for whatever we're doing here. So little ramps of color. There we go. So I've already done this painting. If you saw my video last week, I was live at the Shiawassee County Fair, and I painted a version of this Galaxy Grandeur. Not quite exactly, and I ended up trading it for one of the other crafters' wares right there at the fair. We did a little swap. So then I did the painting again at the fair, and I got it sitting off camera here. Like I said, it's a little different from Nic's, and then today's version, I'm trying to do more of a fall scene. I had a request from a venue to do this picture, but like in November, so they wanted some more fall colors. Will do, can do. So, the first thing we're going to do here, we're still just doing the galaxy, so but pretty much the same. I'm going to put some Indian yellow up here. And then a little Indian yellow is going to be reflected in the water. That's it. Then, picking up, working in some alizarin crimson. And let's just have some crimson out here. How much is up to you. Maybe a little bit down here. Now this stuff is pretty transparent, so it's difficult to see in certain light conditions. Just gotta trust yourself. If you're unsure, you just touch your finger to it. Make sure that there's some there. And then I'm gonna come up here with some phthalo blue. And wherever I'm putting this, I'm trying to match it halfway in the water. Now, I believe Nick used a little bit of phthalo green in the sky as well. I'm going to mix sap green with my phthalo blue, just to give it a different flavor. A little blue, a little sap. Drop some in the water here. I know it's tough for you to see. I got a certain angle here that I can tell that there's some color there. Maybe. Ooh, I missed a spot. A little bit of green, a little bit of blue. There we go. We want to get a little bit on every bit of the canvas. So, just want to make sure we're getting some up in the sky, around here, wherever we think we're going to have a little bit of glow happening. Ooh, here's a hair. Alright, let me clean my brush. Ooh, that's a dirty one. Got my beater rack over here. If you want to see how I created the beater rack with, so I can really beat the devil out of it and keep all that paint thinner contained, check out my video on that topic. Nature's Brush Basics video. Okay, so we got our color up on there. It's all laid out. Let's go ahead, pick up a little bit of the titanium white. And the first object here is we just want to get it up in the sky. A little bit of that white color. And we work from light to dark. Let some of that glow start to happen here. You can see a little bit of that white goes a long way, and I'm only going outwards. Only going outwards. All right, let's clean that brush again. Shake off that excess. Get the paint thinner off. And you might want to go back into a paper towel and really make sure that paper towel takes out all that excess thinner. The paint thinner and the liquid clear, they don't really like each other so much. So we try to keep them separate. Alright, let's take a look here. I'm going to do that step just a little bit more. A little bit more titanium white right here in my bright spot. And I'm going to work my way out a little bit. Everything's going to get a little brighter. Not worried about blending. Just worried about the brightness, the value of the white here. All right. Quick little clean once again. All right, now I'm going to get crazy here. Using my 2-inch brush, let's just soften it nice and clean. You could use the 1-inch brush if you wanted to. Just trying to soften, take out brush marks, create that glow. All right. Now, here comes the fancy bit. We're going to put a little indication of our galaxy, so I'm just tapping a little bit of white. These are our little aurora thingies. And as long as you keep them in that same direction there, going from light to dark, don't go back. I know it's so tempting, I almost did it. But then you'll drag and make all sorts of colors that you might not be happy with if you keep going back without cleaning the brush first. So there we go. And I gotta clean that 2-inch. I almost put that 2-inch on there and made a bunch of green in my yellow. One more on the easel for Bob. Alright, now, we don't want all these bright things to go away, so you gotta hit it light. I watched an episode recently where Bob said a half a hair and some air. That's what we're looking for, is so light you're almost missing it. And you can blur this to whatever degree you like. If you find it stretching one way, hit it the opposite direction and take those little streaks away. Just like that. We got ourselves an interesting scene. I like it. And once you get it just the way that you like it, you can mess with it a little more. A couple of extra bright spots maybe. I'm thinking about it too much. That's when things go sideways, is when you think you just gotta keep going. Sometimes you don't. There we go. A couple of those extra bright clusters there. Okay. Now, while we have all this titanium white laid out here, a little bit of the liquid clear. Just going to thin down some here. Back and forth. I like to tap, make sure all that's already in the brush gets a little bit thinner. Now it's where we play a little bit. Just a light little flick. Hundreds and hundreds of stars with every flick. But I always warn people, there's no going back. You can't really go back to the blending because of all these stars in the way here. Now, some might want you to put stars down in the water. Not saying do it, but if you want to do it, you have to wait till we make our water reflections, maybe one of the last steps. I don't know, if I can remember when we get down to that part. I don't think I've ever put stars in the water. So, there is our nice little galaxy grandeur style sky. I like it. I do like all this funky glow behind everything. Let's go ahead and mix up the color here. Oh, pop, pop, pop. Floor is kind of loud today. What do I got here? I think this is my mountain mix color. We could also put a little bit of crimson into it. Maybe a little bit more. mountain mix with just a bit more crimson in it. Doesn't really matter. I just felt like doing it since I had so much paint out there. And my trusty fan brush. Gotta put our nice little indication of background trees. And choppity chop chop. See that? Just striking downwards. And, moving on. That's one of the tricks here. You can't really keep going over and over and over it. You can make more, you can make it darker, but trying to mess with it usually results in not liking the result. There we go. Just really looking for a nice silhouette blocking out the bottom part of the sky, giving a sense of depth and distance as we start moving forward in the scene. Now, let's see what else we got here. We're going to have, this is just land here, so if you just want to pull some of that paint, just so you can see what's going on here. This is just the lay of the land, so to speak. Just sort of a little wedge of color. Hope that comes through. Helps you see what's going on. Okay. Alrighty, we're coming right up to making our water. So let me get rid of that liquid clear thinned stuff. Pull down some titanium white. As you know, it doesn't take much. That white shows up very, very bright. And we come right in here and we just press down and pull down. Hopefully straight down. I'll straighten that one out. As I work my way out, things get a little darker. Alright, I'm going to clean my brush here super quick. And get that extra thinner out. I need just a little bit more right there in my bright spot. Now, once we have that on there, now I can soften it. And very, very lightly I blur. And we get a nice little reflection into our water. Ooh, that turned out nice. That turned out real nice. All right, let's see here. I'm going to take, again, liquid clear as my thinning agent. And let's go into our yellows here. A little cad yellow, Indian yellow, a little yellow ochre, then some green. This is supposed to be a fall type thing, so I'm not looking for a big electric, bright, spring-like green. We want a little duller, late summer, fall green here. So, let's see about putting this on here. Light little taps. Working my way in the direction here of my land. Tapping it on. Some of it's going to mix with that shadow color. And I'm just loading different little shades here, a little more yellow ochre, getting a nice dull greenish, yellowish, late summer grass. Okay, maybe one or two spots is catching the light. Make a little bright spot there. Good enough. And take my knife, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of brown and brown. Van Dyke brown, dark sienna. Pull it out nice and flat. Cut off a roll. And we're going to put just a little bit of our dirt, our land, here and there. Very small amount of white. Don't put this too bright. Just an indication back here of some highlight. Then I think I'll come back, instead of my 1-inch brush, I'm going to come back here with my fan brush and maybe put in just a little bit more grass here. And if you can overlap the land a little bit, helps push that land underneath. Just little details like this, very, very important. See, if you got a little gap there, you just bring that walk down, that grass down a little bit more. Come back here. I'm just going to use a little bit of titanium white. Ooh, that's strong. That is strong. Let's try a little less. Put our little water line there. Try to keep this water line nice and level. Ooh, I like that. If it's curved, it looks kind of weird. So let me try to straighten that out a little. I might have went a little heavy on that, but that's okay. Alright, back to my background color. Let's just mix it all up here. A little bit of the green into my mountain mixture. I'm going to go right into that dark color here. Plenty of that onto my fan brush. And let's make some trees here. I'm using my small fan brush. I could probably get away with using a larger fan brush. That's alright. Either way, whatever you got at hand, I suppose. Just have to load it a little bit more. Bringing this down. Now we're moving closer. So we got our little island coming out over on the right side here, a little peninsula, I should say. Maybe an even taller one. As long as you see a little guideline for yourself, that allows you to come up and start making your tree shapes here. Tapping, building your tree down. Reloading. And most importantly, moving on. Maybe we got a little background one in here. I try not to go back. Once in a while, yeah, you want to make it just right. Chances are it probably already is just right. Maybe a little land coming down here. We don't know. Something like that. We'll decide later. I think I have room for another. This one here is a little taller. Start with the small ones. Working these little sections here, these little clumps of frowns. Working our way down. And they all kind of just melt together and overlap and stuff. We don't really care. Wipe most of the paint off the brush onto the palette. Then I give it a good soaking. Still not quite clean. After I wipe it on the paper towel, some more came off, so sometimes you got to give it a few more stirs. Alright, so let's see, what are we doing? Maybe I go right back into that color, and we want to bring this out a little further. See that? There we go. Gotta have the stuff kind of grow on you here. There it is. Now, about the highlight. Going back in here, getting my paint thinned down, and then tinted with some green. Back and forth, pulling that color, getting a nice working pile here. Maybe a little duller, maybe even a touch of blue. Ooh, that greened it up. Dulled it, changed the flavor. Come up here, and what tree is going to be behind what tree? I don't really know. Maybe this one here is out in the light. And then you move on to the next. A little bit. Keep going down. Now we are at nighttime here, so it's a good idea not to get too bright with these highlights. This one back here, he's just in the back, so he doesn't get highlights all the way down. This one here, working my way down. This one's going to overlap this third one here. Give it the impression that this one is in front. Coming on down. Now I'm going to have some bushes and stuff here, so we don't have to go all the way down. There we go. Now maybe you say, it's not bright enough. I'm going to come back here, again, just a little bit of, maybe a little bit brighter yellow, maybe even a little bit of white to lighten things up a little. And this is just going to be a couple of spots. Right where it's catching the light just a little more. You can really easily overdo it. Just a couple of spots here. Do I need any more? Oh, it's so fun to do. I think we'll just hold off there. You can always add more later. All right. Now, let us make some nice fall-like bushes. And I've got my liquid clear right down here. I'm picking up some of this yellow. Nice dull yellow here. And let's make nice, bright, fall-looking bushes. Maybe go right into more of the yellow ochre and a touch of the bright red. Bright red, yellow ochre, lots of paint on the brush. Just a single drop, if that, of the liquid clear. Ooh, there we go. And there's always that one that's super bright, Bob's Firecracker here. So this is just the pure bright red, just on its own. Maybe get a little one in front of them all. Maybe another one right there. Coming back to my fan brush here, I'm going to pick up that more of the greenery grass color here. And let's come in and let's get some of this going here. Oh, you know, I think before we do that, before we get too crazy, let's come up here and put a little reflection down here at the bottom. Look at that. I'm just going to be on the safe side here, get a different brush. I do want it a little brighter right there. There it is. And then, always pull sideways. Hopefully that reflection stands out from this reflection. That little extra bit of white there will help do that. And now, I started with the fan brush, but I'm going to go ahead and move back to my 1-inch brush here. Get out this nice duller grass color. Loading plenty of color up there. And then we tap. Coming right up under these bushes. More of the fall grass, autumn grass, just grass like that old scrub. Little bits of red in there, yellow ochre, green, whatever sets your heart afire. I don't know what I'm saying. Whatever looks good to you. Now we got to come up with our land here. A little bit of this. Just notice how sometimes I go up a little higher, sometimes a little lower. Vary it up a little bit. Now my highlight color can afford to be a little brighter, a little more detailed as we come into the foreground. Excuse my hiccups there. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And my water line, gotta remember to keep that little guy straight. This little bit of titanium white I picked up has a little bit of liquid clear on it. Lets us do these little blenders a little easier. There it is. Now, with my fan brush, I come back with my little grass here and there. All these little thingies. Hiding some of that harsh line of the dirt Make it look like some little grass or moss or lichen is growing over it. Alright, let's get nuts. I'm going to come back here. I do want a little bit bigger of a fan brush if I got one out here. And let's see about my paint supply here. Well, I've got plenty of paint. We'll take some red, some blue, some brown, some green. All that mountain mixture. Ooh, hello. Let's paint. And this tree here, ooh, it's going to start about right there. But because we go down further, this tree will appear a little bigger. Keep tapping. Sometimes you want to have a nice fresh brush, freshly loaded brush going over any of that liquid water line there. That water line back there, though, was mostly titanium white, so it should go over that pretty good. Bring this down, oh, however far down you want. Maybe there. That's a big one. Sometimes, if you don't like the way that this turned out, one way to fix it is just to go taller, so you can redo the top, and then these can always get a little bigger to make that tree a little more pleasing to the eye. Make everything a little bigger sometimes. And maybe a couple more little guys here. Maybe they're off in the background, or they're just baby trees in front. It doesn't matter. You get to decide. And maybe one in the background here. There we go. Now, once again, doing a lot of brush cleaning here. I'm going to come in and highlight those trees. Getting a little bit of a mess going here, huh? All these dirty yellows. Touch of my background color. Ooh, maybe a little too much. Maybe a little green. Gotta find that color that works for you. Get it up right up on the tips of the bristles. And maybe let's just do this little one first. Then maybe this one here. He's in the back, so he's just going to get a little bit there. And then this one here stands out from the crowd. Our highlight, I think, is going to hit the right side a little more. So as I go down, focus a little bit more, going to the right. Let the left side of this tree be a little bit deeper in shadow. You can still get some highlight, just not as much. There we go. Now, as I did before, I took a little bit of a lighter color, a little bit more of the yellow and white. And maybe in a couple of spots here. Just an extra brightness. Even on this one, beep, beep, boop, boop. There it is. Gotta make the noises. Bob was right about that. Okay. The next bit here, well, we gotta put in our land again. But this time here, I'm really just gonna focus on the brown. Maybe we got all this sort of rocky stuff happening here. So just laying some on. And it's important, I'm leaving some of this blank. Just want to get something there. Somewhere, not everywhere. There it is. That's more than enough. Come back with my highlight color. Got all these different light browns, reddish browns, a little bit of titanium white. I graze it over. Maybe even a little bit of the brighter color here. Ooh, there we go. If you were feeling it, I suppose you could have put a little bit of yellows in there too. Now, let's see here. Maybe just a little indication of the bush having shadows here. Just push up there a little bit. Alright, let me clean out this brush. That just ruined my thinner. Should have wiped it out in the paper towel first. That'll keep your thinner a little cleaner. I make mistakes, so you don't. Alright, so one more time into the breach here. Lots and lots of color. All this nice fall tones, little pumpkin-y colors. Did I really almost run out? I think I could use more. If you don't have enough on your brush, it's not gonna come off so bright. One way to make it brighter, of course, would be to use the liquid white instead of liquid clear. I'm trying to keep this a little darker myself here. So those bright colors will come off. You just need a little bit more paint. There it goes. Let's see about adding a little to that one. There it is. With a little bright red, let's give them a little sparkler over here. There we go. And the great thing, all these little dead spots that have no dirt or rocks or whatever we're calling these, that's the perfect spot to drop in the bushes. Okay. Now, coming back with my fan brush here, I can come up and I'm just going to give a little push, a little late grass growing here. And it can be, of course, whatever color. All these little spots here pushing up gives it that grassy effect. Very loosely mixed so we get all variation of color in every hit. There we go. A little bit more of a fall scene. Maybe a little bit of this grass pushing up right there. Couple of, maybe a little stick or a twig. Gotta have a little stick or twig in here. There it is. Wow, just standing back here, I really enjoyed that. Changing things around, making it a different season. Very simple to do. I wonder how this would look with a winter theme. Maybe I can try that next. All them frosty bushes down here. Lots of exposed rock and such. We'll give that a try sometime. With that being said, I once again thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll see you in the next video.